The Last Letter from Gettysburg. The letter arrived 50 years late, sealed with wax long since cracked, its paper yellowed like an old bone, but the blood stain on the corner was still dark. When Clara Whitmore held it in her trembling hands in the autumn of 1913, the crowd at Gettysburg was cheering. Veterans from both sides of the Civil War had returned for the Great Reunion, a final gathering of men who had once tried to kill each other and now embraced like brothers. Flags waved, bands played, history was being celebrated. But Clara was standing very still. The handwriting on the envelope was unmistakable. It belonged to her brother, Private Thomas Whitmore, killed in action on July 3, 1863. Or so she had always been told. 50 years earlier, Thomas had marched off from their small Pennsylvania farm with a rifle on his shoulder and a grin too big for his thin face. He was only 17. Their father had tried to stop him. Their mother had wept. Clara, just 14 at the time, had sewn his name into his coat with clumsy stitches and told him not to die. "I'll be home before the corn is tall," he laughed. The corn grew tall. Thomas never came home. News arrived weeks after the Battle of Gettysburg. A Union officer delivered the message with his hat pressed to his chest. Thomas had been reported missing, presumed dead. No body recovered, no final words, just absence. Their mother never recovered. Their father became silent and small. And Clara learned how heavy a life could become when a single person vanished from it forever. Now in 1913, Clara was 64 years old, her back bent, her hair white as frost. She had come to Gettysburg not for celebration, but for closure. She wanted to stand where her brother had fallen and tell the earth that she remembered him. But instead, history reached out and grabbed her by the wrist. The letter had been handed to her by a young postal clerk at a temporary reunion station. He said, "This was found in an abandoned trunk. It was addressed to your family home. Your name was still on record." The return address was blurred by time and smoke. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, July 3, 1863. Her fingers shook as she broke the old seal. The ink was faded, but the words were clear. Dear Clara, if you are reading this, then I suppose I did not make it home the way I promised. I want you to know, first of all, that I was not brave. I was terrified. Every shot I fired was with shaking hands, but I stayed anyway, because next to me were boys no older than me, and behind me was home. And somehow that was enough. Clara's breath caught in her throat. There was something I must tell you that I never had the courage to say aloud. On the night before the attack, I crossed into the enemy's wounded camp. I was sent to retrieve a fallen flag. Instead, I found a Confederate soldier no older than myself, bleeding and alone. He begged for water. I gave it to him. His name is Elijah Carter from Georgia. He asked me to promise something, that if one of us lived, we would tell the other's family how he died. I promised. And now, if I do not survive the coming morning, I ask you to fulfill that vow for me. Tell the Carters that their son did not die alone. Tell Mother I carried her Bible with me into battle. Tell Father I understood him better once the shooting started. And tell yourself that I was thinking of home when the sky broke open with cannon fire. Your brother, Thomas. The sounds of the reunion faded around her. She could no longer hear the band, the laughter, the speeches. Only the distant echo of cannon fire from long ago seemed to ring in her ears. Thomas had not died in silence. He had died making a promise to an enemy. That night, Clara could not sleep. The past rolls around her like smoke from old fields burned long ago. She saw her brother's face again, not as the soldier in uniform, but the barefoot boy who used to chase fireflies in the dark. At dawn, she made a decision. She would keep his promise. 2 weeks later, Clara boarded a southbound train alone. The countryside changed outside her window as fields turned to forest and forests gave way to red clay earth. By the